Hello and a very warm welcome to today's session of Daughter of Alba. Today's title is Syngenes, which means family. Last time you found Askedos, the stylite to be, and you left your two travel companions with him. You have been given your reward. He is alive and well. You rescued him pretty much from an underground temple. Basically it was a crypt. It was the crypt of a temple, and he told you a little bit about the place that you're going to go to, and he also told you a little bit about Thalassa, the demon capital, etc., etc. And he told you a little bit about your mother's people, and you've basically taken one more night to sleep there to look after them. You've also been able to use the well to its fullest, so you filled all your water. I want to say canisters, but that's not what I meant.
Canteens.
Canteens, indeed.
Probably.
Yeah. And the next morning, you wake up with everybody. You have a last breakfast with your travel companions, and they inform you that it's probably going to take you around 3 weeks to get there, so it's now going to be a very long journey, but pretty much due south, and there is only the one road. And this road, they inform you, goes through quite, I don't want to call it desolate country, but there isn't really any more bigger there are no cities, there are hardly any villages. There are some homesteads here or there, but the next stretch is pretty much devoid of people. And then you will come to a mountain range, which is called Taygetos. And you have to cross this because the Taygetos pretty much isolates Monophrastos from the rest of Chrysaea, which means it's easy to defend because there's just the one road across it. And they tell you that the road that takes you to the Taygetos is actually really well maintained and quite wide. Why is that so? Because the Monophrastian hoplites use it to march in phalanx, if need be, across all of the length of the Chrysaean peninsula there, to meet their foes head on. So they have to maintain it so that an army can march. Once you get to the Taygetos, however, they've also been quite smart. The road, first of all, rises into the mountains, but it also becomes quite narrow because there's just one ravine that you can use to cross. Again, tactically speaking, very good, because every person needs to funnel through this, so there's only like maybe room for 4 to walk abreast. So if you want to pick off people coming down your Taygetos ravine, that's easy.
Okay.
So even from that, you can tell that your mother's people are strategic warriors, tactical warriors, and warriors at heart. And so you make your way along that road, and they haven't promised you too much. It is very wide. It is very well maintained. And the landscape itself is, since it's now getting summer, and it's also getting, we're talking end of June at this stage. It's very hot.
Okay.
You have never experienced this type of heat in the north where you're from for that long amount of time. I mean, there might be hot days here and there, but in the highlands, if you're lucky, it gets 30 degrees, but that's kind of like one day, and then that's a heat wave. And so, and equally, remember when you went through the Lake District, and it was kind of like lake after lake after lake. And, now it's cypress after cypress after cypress, stunted growth, underbrush, thorn bushes. It gets boring. There is Siobhan says, I'm really beginning to miss the rain. I mean, I never thought I'd say this, but it's just so dry. And you feel it when you breathe in the dust from the road that the horses kick up with their hoofs. It fills the air. The incessant noise of the cicadas, day and night. and hardly any wind stirring. It's hot. The sun's beating down. And it's dry. When you had too much humidity in the Lake District, now it's just dry. And the thing is, after the second day, you are completely caked in dust, essentially, and you can't wash because there is hardly any water. So you keep traveling.
Yeah.
But you can give me 3 survival rolls to see if you can hunt it all.
Okay. 1 success. 1 success.
Okay, so let's see what she can do. 1 failure. 1 success. Okay, 2 failures and 1 success. So you've got 2 successes.
Yeah.
So you do manage to catch enough for 2 weeks. But in the 3rd week, your food is really depleted.
So a bit of the bread that can be transported quite long, and that's more or less is. Okay.
But it is trying because you're also sweating a lot.
Yeah.
So, and you do feel it. Can you make a roll on Constitution for me, please? With advantage, so you get to roll twice. Oh, wow.
Yeah, the first one was already a success. I'm just trying to finally understand what is rolled. So the second one was a catastrophe, but hey, first one was a 12, which is good.
For her as well, she rolled.
The last one was a 99.
Oh, that would actually have been a botch, a critical failure, and then 100 is a botch. So
but
she also managed. She got an 18 over 21, so she's good. Yeah. And then after a while, during the 3rd week, you do see a mountain range rise, and it's really kind of like perpendicular to the road. So the road, like towards the Nycteros, again, only the difference is it's not a vast expanse of steppe. It's rather smaller, and you can't look in both directions, because when you look to your left, the only thing you see is kind of like land, and nothing, because then there is the sea.
Okay.
So you approach the mountains. The mountains are quite high, but the road itself doesn't rise that high, because there is a ravine that pretty much cuts through through the mountain range, and you move through it, and that is quite different because it becomes quite moist. So the humidity rises, and you also hear the trickling of little rivulets of water streaming down from the mountains. The mountains are completely bare, so there is no growth. It's really like granite. Nothing grows here. Every so often you find lichen or moss, but nothing else than that. And it is interesting because this ravine takes a good while to traverse. A day. And during that time, you also see that it's a lot darker because the sun doesn't penetrate to the ground. You can still see, but it's quite dark. But it's refreshing. It's really refreshing.
Next to it being the air not being that dry, it's also a change in scenery.
Yes.
Which is also something, I have to say.
And every so often you can hear the noise that eagles make, or birds of prey, this very distinct cry that they have.
Yeah.
And then towards the evening, you make it out of the ravine, and you can look down, and before you see a huge area, which looks again completely different. It's green, but you can also see yellow parts. Probably they're growing something like, I don't know, barley, wheat, oats, whatever. So obviously there is agriculture going on. And you also see trees again. Olive trees, you can now tell. And also cedar trees, so these very distinct trees that you've come to know in this land. And you also see flowers by the wayside.
Cool.
And the whole, it seems to be a microclimate. And the air is a lot less hot and a lot more humid even when you are outside of the ravine. Do you want to keep traveling or do you want to find a place for the night?
I think we would find a place for the night and go down the next day.
Okay, so you roll on survival to see if you find a good place.
Let's see. No.
Siobhan is really coming into her own now. You have taught her well because she has found a really nice spot not too far away from a little bubbling stream.
That is a good eye. I did not find anything useful.
Yeah, you've probably not been paying attention because you're so looking forward to finally meeting your mother's folks.
Honestly, I'm not sure I'm looking forward to it. I'm quite skeptical. Curious but skeptical.
You know, this is your thing. I will stay in the background. I will just tag along.
Please feel free to step up front when I'm doing stupid things.
Would you ever do anything stupid?
Yes.
So it's already in there.
It's always been in there.
Okay. So she looks after Percy and Stodham, and the two of you look after the horses. They get enough water to drink. You have to rub them down, obviously, because they've been sweating quite profusely. And then you have a meager meal because you're running short on supplies. Do you want to set watches?
Yes.
Okay. Then please roll on Constitution. But this time with, in your case, with advantage. Okay. Yeah, I'll give her advantage as well. Oh, she failed twice.
I succeeded twice. So.
Okay, so basically she takes first watch, but she falls asleep. You, however, do wake up. She's snoring quietly, happily by the fire. Do you kick her?
No, I will make sure she's covered nicely under the blanket and will do my watch, and I will wake her when it's time to get up.
Yeah, somehow you need to work with her on that. She's not doing well. Okay, then let's see. The night passes. You see a lot of glowworms. You hear the cicadas. They haven't gone away. She wakes up at some point in the morning. Do you say anything?
Good morning.
Good morning. I do hope that we don't have to set watches when you're at your mother's, because I'm so tired after watching it half the night.
Well, dear, you did not watch half the night, but...
Did I fall asleep again?
Yes, you did. Do you remember waking me up?
She thinks. No, Oopsie.
We are lucky that there are not much bandits out here.
How do you manage to stay awake?
I just stay awake.
You just stay awake. That doesn't help.
I usually take a project on, either like sharpening or cleaning weapons, or counting stones, or counting our goods that we still have, sorting through. Just keep yourself busy.
Maybe I should do something similar. Maybe I should journal when I'm watching.
That might be also good. Just keep your mind busy. Just sitting there staring into the darkness is the most tiring thing that I can think of.
She tries to make up for it by making tea. You then saddle your horses
Yep.
and you journey south.
Yep.
And very soon you reach the first wheat fields and you see people there. They are working in the fields. They don't really pay much attention to you.
Okay. That is, in this case, not bad.
However, you've just crit. You've just
good.
Oh yes, you have just critted on your Wahrnehmung I rolled for you.
Okay.
You are pretty sure that you are being followed on foot. Every so often, out of the corner of your eyes, you see.
Foot? We are on horses.
Yeah, but you're not galloping. I mean,
No.
a walking horse is not going to be that much faster than a walking human. You notice.
The human must at least do some speeds in between to catch up or so.
You notice out of the corner of your eye every so often fleeting motion. Definitely you see something red.
What I see should be far enough away that they would not understand when we are talking in a normal voice, I suspect, right?
Also taking into consideration that they may not even speak your language, which, yes, if you were to even if you were to whisper, you're pretty sure they wouldn't hear you.
Then Aisling would very carefully, don't look around, don't be scared, but we are being followed. By
Is it
someone
wolves?
No, it's a human on foot.
You would say it's more than one.
Okay.
And they're on both sides of the road.
Ah. Well, humans, but seems to be on foot.
Bandits?
I don't think so. They would have attacked before we get near the city. They could have easily gotten us tonight.
You mean when I wasn't watching?
Should we just stop and greet them?
Do you think that they'll come close if we stop?
Well, we will see. So not directly at the settlement, but in between.
Yeah.
Aisling would get off the horse and would basically lean against Storm like this, legs crossed, watching backwards into the direction, just left and right.
Okay.
And probably calling out in
Friese.
basically in Frisian as well as her own language, like, we're not biting, you can just come out.
You've rolled 2 more successes on Wahrnehmung. You can see them. They are very well hidden. Very well hidden. But you can see them. And it's 2. One on either side. And they step out on the road. They're about 10. Tall. But they're 10 years old. Boys, shaven heads. And the red thing that you saw is they both have a red peplos, so basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, there are boys.
She would just say basically hello and something in the line of well done in Crisean.
They look at each other and you can tell that they don't think that this is well done because you've obviously spotted them.
It was really hard to see you, she would add. I think that's still in the realm of what she can say. Hard to see, yeah. or difficult, or something like that.
I think you can speak it well enough to. I mean, it will probably be grammatically incorrect, or it could be grammatically incorrect, but you will.
Complicated vocabulary will not be
you will,
in, but
yeah,
easy things.
Absolutely be able to say this and to convey the meaning. And the two of them basically look at you, and of course they notice immediately a couple of things around you. First of all, you've got one eye only, and that eye is green, which is absolutely unusual. Also, you do look foreign. You look probably a lot less foreign than Siobhan, but you still look foreign. And Siobhan with a 161. She's a midget. They are almost as tall as she is.
I think Aisling would just add, I'm a well-trained hunter, so it was clear that I would see someone following us.
One of them basically then picks up his courage and walks up to you, and he says, "No one should have seen us. This was a test. We failed."
It took me some time.
It doesn't matter. You still saw us. If you were our enemy, we would be dead now. We'll have to report back to our leader.
Well, if you would have been my enemy, you would have had enough time to kill us.
The two of them basically just look at each other, and then they nod to the two of you, and they start running. Towards
Have a good day.
down the road. And then what do you do?
Get back on the horse, I would guess. Sheepish smile to Siobhan, like, oh well.
They say it was a test. I wonder if they wanted to test themselves, or if somebody sent them to test.
I'm honestly quite sure they were sent on test. If this is a city where warriors are
so they know that we're
trained, they will start early. And that is a first task that you can easily do. Even if you're not strong, you can be sneaky.
And you... basically, they run. And they are fast.
Yeah.
So you follow them, and then you start seeing the first houses. And this is different from the villages you would know, because villages in your area are... It's a lot like the place that you have spent the last 3 years, in that you consider your home, because it's stretched out. It's like a township.
Okay.
What you notice, again, the houses are in the style that you're used to, made of stone, because stone is the thing that you find everywhere here, and whitewashed. They're all one story. There is no town wall. Largely spread out. And you would say probably 50 houses. And there is also a market square. There is a large house, which is probably a church. And you see only women and children walking around. Children, girls of all ages, boys up to the age of maybe 8. All tall. The women exceptionally tall when you compare them to other Chryseans. They are quite like you. Maybe a little less tall, but easily 175.
Okay.
Definitely all of them taller than Siobhan. And they all look really beautiful. Especially compared to the other Chrysean women that you have seen, who tend to be like not only on the small side, because that in and of itself isn't not beautiful, but they always looked quite gaunt, quite pale. These women obviously are outside a lot, so they have like a really nice dark complexion. They also seem to be physically stronger.
Yeah.
Like someone who moves a lot, whereas you know that Chrysean women tend to be in the house more. Nicostria still, they don't leave necessarily the city itself. They stay in there, and maybe except for the Sword Sisters, who are a completely different matter. And they also have something that you have not seen outside of the clergy of Chrysean, in Chrysean women. They have this sense of presence and purpose, which of course can be considered maybe in some cases or in some cultures very beautiful, you know, like natural poise, that kind of thing. They all have dark hair, dark eyes. Interestingly enough, the hair that you do see in the women, except for the girls, is also shaven very close to their head.
Okay.
The girls have long hair, the boys all have shaven heads. And they seem to be idle, in terms of they are strolling around, they're talking, conversing, they're not carrying anything.
Okay.
They are not, they all wear very short skirts, so you can see all of their thighs. And yeah, you're in Monophrastos. So, it's your oyster, you go ahead.
Well, we would have a look around and also see how people look at us clearly a little bit, just to see how weird they react to us. And then I think both of us would keep eyes open for anyone who looks like a trader, because they might be able to help us. So a shop or a trader, or clearly a tavern or inn or something like that.
Okay. The first thing you notice is people look at you, they notice you, and they are indifferent.
Okay.
Again, indicating that probably people knew you were coming.
It's clearly that the whole city knows already. That's kind of surprising, but okay.
And you also notice that if there is an inn, and by this time you know how inn reads, they don't have any. But they do have on the marketplace, they have stalls. There's also some shops, some workshops. There is a cooper, there is a blacksmith, there is a potter.
The other thing would be, do we see guards? Like official guards standing? Okay. Yeah, then we would go to the market. It doesn't hurt that we buy some food anyhow, at least to restock a little bit. Maybe grab an apple, because I'm sure the horses would enjoy that.
Are you dismounting or do you keep riding?
No, I would dismount when we're getting close to the market and then see if we lead the horses around or if we need to tie them up somewhere and then move. Because I know no one will be able to steal Storm or Percy, because Storm will go crazy if someone foreign tries to.
There is a fountain with a trough, and obviously and you see a couple of donkeys tied to that.
Then we will put Percy and Storm there as well. Give them some scritches. I'll just whisper in their ears, I'm back soon. I'm trying to get some apples for you guys. Happy ear twitching.
Yeah.
They will also enjoy.
The ears go forward.
Yeah, and they will also enjoy a little bit of water to drink. And then, Aisling would see if she can find a cart that sells apples, fruits, or vegetables, something like that.
Apples, not so much, but you do find fruit. So they have grapes.
Yeah, that would be rather a question if they have vegetables, like carrots. Because vegetables. I'm not sure horse should eat grapes.
I don't know if they should, but I don't think they would. But carrots they do have.
Yeah.
But fruit is pretty much limited to dates. And
lemons, probably.
Lemons, then some kind of orange fruit, which is an orange, but you've never seen that before. And grapes. Yeah.
Different colors, yeah. Then going for vegetables.
The person looks at you, and it's a man.
I would friendly say good day in
And he's got
local
short hair.
language.
And he says, good day, and he asks what you want, and you just basically make your purchase. And
Yeah.
then he looks at you expectantly, and do you pay?
Yes, I hope he tells me how much it is. I will definitely pay.
And he says, 1 obolos.
Aisling will very carefully lay down the carrots again. I am afraid we don't have something like that.
Oh. You don't
We-
have any money.
Yes, we do. Silver, gold, copper.
Oh, I see. In that case, it is 1 copper.
She will pull out 2 copper and just put it in his hand.
He takes both, and then he returns you 1
Okay.
piece of about the size of my little finger.
Yeah.
It's an ingot of lead.
Okay.
So it's quite heavy, but it's lead. And he says 1 obolos, and he points to it.
Thank you. Interesting.
This is
She
the
will- she will-
currency.
Clearly look at it in detail and give it to Siobhan as well, that she can have a look.
Lead.
It seems so. It's weird, but hey. And that discussion is in not in Crusade, that would be in our language. Also, just one question: do you have anything like an inn or a place that people can stay? And do you know by any chance if we need to like report somewhere that we arrived? Although I'm quite sure everyone already knows we are here. Thanks to the boys.
Well, I would assume that nobody comes here that doesn't have a reason. Of course, everybody knows you're here.
Well, I don't know anybody here, so it's just a question if there is a chance for us to get a sleep here or if we need to camp outside.
Well, I think you should maybe talk to one of the Spartan women who run this place.
Where do
I'm
I
a
find
slave.
them? Very skeptical look. Not that you're...
I'm one of the perioikoi.
Know where we come from, slavery is not the nicest thing to do. It's still a bit...
Oh, they treat us well. I can ply my own trade. I have a house. I have a family.
That is good to hear. So you're definitely better treated than the slaves we have. Not I, but people.
You are not
Well-
from here, I can tell. Although you do look a little like local, except for your eye.
Well, I'm half from here. My mother is from here.
Oh, what family?
Do I have her last name?
No, you have her first name, which is Jacintha.
I don't have a family name. I just have her name, how she's called.
Well, but that should not be difficult. Everybody's registered at birth.
So where can I find one of the leading Spartan
Maybe you
women? How do I-
maybe you try the temple of Athena.
And he points probably in the direction of the
Of
temple.
this
that
bigger
I-
house.
Okay. Well, then let's go there. Thank you for your help and thank you for showing us the currency.
Oh, you're very welcome. We do accept different coinage, but it's difficult because unless we trade with the outside, which we really don't do much, it is worthless to us.
If I get more lead, maybe I can work and earn something. We can switch back.
Oh no, you would not work. If you're a Spartan, you do not work. The only work that you are allowed to do is war.
But the only way to earn money is to work. I can
You're
build things.
monofrastian, you do not work.
I am not monofrastian.
You would have to talk to the
a-
Temple of Athena about this.
Okay. I'm from Alba. And there you have to work if you want to earn money. In which.
But if you work, what do I do? You cannot come and take my job.
No, I don't want to take your job. It's a question if there's anything that needs to be done where I can help, get some money in lead form, and then we can switch the coinage back, because I can use the copper.
Monofrastians do not need money. Everybody has the same as everybody else. Everybody has a house. Everybody gets the same homespun garments once a year.
That is... I will find... Hold on to the copper. I will find a way on how to exchange that back that you have useful.
Do not get me wrong, we will be able to use it. It will go into the central storage.
Okay.
It will have many friends.
Question how
Every
many?
so often somebody ventures out and then they do some shopping and they use this coin.
Although our copper would be from home even. It would
Yeah,
be
but you've
Alba.
used it before.
Okay.
Yeah. They bite on it
Yeah.
and they notice it's copper.
Yeah,
and
it's
then
copper
they just,
and then
yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you for the carrots. Our horses will love it. And have a nice day.
You too.
And I will look at Siobhan and we'll make a stop at the horses first of all.
Do they get the carrot?
Clearly, each of them is getting a carrot with a long row of head scratches and excuses that they don't have apples here. I'm really sorry. I think we will have to wait for apples until we're more north again. I hope the carrots are tasty.
You've won them over. The carrot did it.
Okay.
They will forgive you.
They will get each a second carrot. And Aisling will gnaw on one of them and she will just hold to Siobhan.
Siobhan takes one too and she starts eating as well. Do you go to the temple?
I don't think we have another choice. So,
You have plenty of choice. You can go wherever you like.
do we see a place where we can put the horses in front of the temple, or would we need to keep them here?
The temple is on the main square, so
Okay,
it's-
then we will leave
Yeah.
the horses here. We
Yeah.
will give them scritches again, just like we will be back soon. We are trying to figure out what to do here next. And then
Mhm.
we will walk towards the temple.
You go to the temple. It's again a bigger house, not as and pretty much as ornate as the temple you saw in Nykteros, with columns in front. So it's a really different type of building, and it's also open. So you walk up 3 stairs, and then you enter this wide stone building. In it, it's dark, obviously, and you see they've braziers with fire, coal, smoldering coal, so that it's a little bit lit.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot cooler, stone building, and towards the far end you see a looming dark thing, statue probably, but you cannot really make it out. Do you go closer?
Yes, definitely.
Okay.
Aisling is curious as always.
You go there and your steps reverberate. There is an echo. It's also very quiet. And you see a statue of a woman in a very long peplos, flowing gown. She's easily 4 meters high.
Mm-hmm.
She's holding a spear in one hand. She's wearing a helmet. And she's holding a shield on her left arm, like in front of her, like a warrior would. And on it you see a ghastly face that's been engraved onto that stone shield. And she is painted in very gaudy colors.
Okay.
And you can tell that the eyes are precious stones. Very colorful.
But
What? Misclicked. I wanted to close. Greetings from my mother. Just to give you in between.
Greetings back.
And I'll look at the statue. So it's beautifully crafted, right? So
Very beautifully crafted.
well, they know their handiwork here.
And it's very lifelike. So this statue looks like it could pick up and leave its plinth and just walk out. It's very lifelike. It looks exactly like a human being. And again, this isn't just any face. This is like somebody decided this statue is going to look like a real person. And again, it's a very beautiful face.
I will look at Siobhan and be like, let me guess, that is probably Athena.
Yeah, but who is she? I mean, she looks like a warrior.
We are in a town of warriors. I would probably... It would be weird if they would not have a goddess of war.
Is their goddess, the deity of war is a woman? That is interesting.
Well, we got told that they have female fighters.
Yeah, still. At that moment, you hear footsteps behind you.
I will have a last look at the statue and then turn around.
A woman is approaching you.
Mm-hmm. I will...
You've seen her before.
I've seen
You
her
saw
before.
her in your vision with your mother. Only now she looks even older.
Then probably Aisling is like mid-sentence on just giving her typically good day, and then halfway breaks and just dares.
Good day. Welcome to my temple.
You're not Athena, are you?
No, my name is Fano. I am the High Priestess of Athena. People have called me many things, but thank you very much. I do not deserve this form of accolade.
Is that by any chance Athena, just pointing at the statue?
That is Athena.
Impressive warrior.
She is the goddess of warfare, wisdom, and weaving.
Interesting mix. Aisling will stare again. Just probably switch to my local language and just whisper to Siobhan. Remember the dream I had about my mom?
Yeah, the vision you had in the marketplace, yes?
She was the one my mom was fighting with.
Whatever you do, can you try and stay civil?
Well, she did not hurt my mother.
But then she knows your mother.
Maybe.
The woman just looks at you and she's you would say that she really doesn't understand what you're saying. So it's
Yeah,
not
that
like
would
even,
be the
yeah.
skeptical look like,
Yeah.
do you remember listening? Sorry, I just have seen you before and it's a bit weird.
That is weird because I cannot say that I have seen you before. I'm
Oh.
afraid. I do know that you're here. We knew as soon as you entered the ravine.
You knew my mother.
Your mother.
You fought with her. Just by words, not with weapons.
Well, I've known very many Monofrastian women, and I've fought with more than one of them. You would need to be a little more specific.
I would give the first name that I already forgot again, because it's such a weird name that my brain is just not coping with it.
Jacintha.
But why? I will ask later on that because I'm just like, how was the name of her father? It's really, because I need to write down some backstory for her, but we can do that tomorrow.
Yeah. Jacintha.
She left Monofrastus to move quite north to Alba.
That Jacintha. I might have known. And you also notice that she has very short hair cropped to her face, and you also cropped to her skull, and you also notice that, like everybody else you've met, she's not wearing any shoes. You are the daughter of Jacintha.
Yes, and I hope she did not leave in a bad way that you need to kill me now or something like that, because I have no idea how my mom left this place.
Oh. So she hasn't told you why she left?
She couldn't.
She couldn't?
I was, I think, a bit too young to tell a life story before she died.
She's dead.
For a while now, yes.
I'm very sorry to hear that.
I am very sorry too.
Well, then maybe now is not the time to tell you why she left and how she left, but let me tell you. Your mother was not an easy person to manage.
I see the grin and chuckles from Siobhan next to me visually, just like, well, I can imagine that. And
you just said you didn't really know her that well.
Well, I'm my mother's daughter, am I not? And I hope I'm more my mother's daughter than my father's daughter. At least character-wise. Look-wise, I think I'm quite a mix.
I mean, your skin and your height. Although I don't know what the people in Alba look like, I do understand that they are not as dark-skinned as we are, but your eyes definitely are not Monofrastian.
My height is quite unusual, at least for a woman in our country.
Here you would not be amongst the tallest.
That is quite
sorry,
nice.
you would be amongst the tallest, but there would be more than you.
Which is quite nice for an exchange.
So I presume you're here to visit your aunt then?
I honestly am just here to find out where my mother is coming from and what happened, why she left.
Maybe you should talk to your aunt before we speak more. Yes, your mother had a sister.
So where can we find her and what is her name?
Her name is Radamanthia.
Can they just have names like Steve and Bob?
She's a woman, she's not called Steve or Bob. Rada.
I don't have a female part for the easy NPC names we usually use in English games.
No, Radamanthia. I'm afraid both your grandparents are already dead. Lysistrata and Anchisias.
Well, I'm glad that there's anyone here who knew my mother and can tell me.
Oh, I can tell you that many people knew your mother.
That doesn't sound like they
She
knew
wasn't
her in
a
good
person
way.
to miss. She was young when she left. And sometimes young people can be difficult. They think they know it all. And they think they know better. She didn't really want to go down the road that had been designed for her.
I don't know which one that was, but maybe she should have.
She was ordained a priestess of our supreme deity, Order.
Oh boy. Aisling is just wondering why on earth did she... She's still trying to figure out why her mom left, generally. And also trying to find out if she met the father here, or if they met somewhere else. Because I think, as far as I remember, she doesn't know much about how the parents really met.
I mean, what you do know is that your mother somehow made it to Alba. You have no idea why or how.
Exactly.
But she fell in love with Rory of Clan Ranald.
Yeah, clear. Yeah, I know
they
that
were
one.
betrothed. And that's how she would have met your father, because these two were best buds.
So they didn't know... At least the impression was not that they knew each other before that. Yeah, that's true.
But maybe you should also talk to the High Priestess of Order. She knew your mother quite well. She spent 10 years with her in the temple in Helos, which is 2 townships over. But your mother decided it was not for her, which wasn't really her decision to make. And when I made it clear to her, we had a little bit of a heated exchange, shall we put it? And she left.
So that's what I've seen.
What do you mean, that's what you have seen?
I sometimes have, like, dreams.
You do?
And I've seen my mother arguing with a younger you. I couldn't make out what about, but it kind of fits because she stormed off.
Yes, I mean, your mother stormed out of this temple many times. Maybe you saw the last time she stormed off. Don't get me wrong. I always loved your mother. But she was difficult. Sometimes.
Well, that seems to be a family thing.
Are you also ordained to be a priestess?
No. I am, again, chuckling from Siobhan. At least in mind, I hear that. I am far away. I'm more the warrior, hunter kind of person. She's the priestess.
Is she your sister?
Kind of. Chosen sister. Not by blood, but by...
And she's a priestess.
She is a mighty healer.
Then welcome. But you still have not disclosed your names.
Oh, I'm Aisling. And I would give my last name if I would. But I'm really horrible at backstory at the moment.
Do you give your last name? Because you always disown your last name.
I think she would give her last name in this case, because she's far away from home. People have no idea what happened back there.
It's Aisling MacDonald.
Is it that easy? I knew
It's
it was something with Mac, but my brain was like, no, you're not the MacDonald has a farm.
You
person.
are the MacDonald, because the other ones are the Clan Ranalds. You are MacDonald. You used to be MacDonald. You have been officially expelled from the clan. You're not allowed to carry that name, but you can, of course, you can use it, because who knows,
Yeah. And although if I'm not allowed to use the name, I think then she would just stick to I'm Aisling, and this is Siobhan.
Welcome, Aisling. Welcome, Siobhan. I am Fano.
It's an interesting place you're living in. Very different from our place home.
It is very different from any other place in Chrysaea. Let's put it this way. We are beholden to the old gods, and we're beholden to the old ways. But we are the ones that stood between Chrysaea and utter destruction. We are the ones that hold the demons at bay.
We heard that part of history.
The Temple of Orphea is the place where you find answers about this if you're interested. It would have been your mother's fate at some point, had she chosen it.
We will see what we find there. So, where can I find my aunt? She lives here in the township?
You're all from Monophrastos, the whole family.
Okay.
This is incidentally also not too far away from where our two kings live.
2 kings.
We have 2 families, and each one of them provides a king. So that in times of war, one of them can lead the army, and one of them can lead the people here.
Interesting idea. Again,
You really don't know anything about us, do you?
I only know the bits and pieces we learned from traveling.
Well, maybe you can spend some time here with your aunt and learn more about the people that, at least, whose blood you share in part.
Well, if we are welcome there, I'm happy to stay a little.
You see, we are not as populous as some of the other areas. We have maybe 10,000 men. And they could wipe us out if they wanted to, if it wasn't for the fact that they always train. Nicostria is larger than Monophrastos. Kroisos, 10 times as large. Easy. If they were to join forces, they could wipe us out. We would go down fighting, but if they really wanted to, they would probably manage.
But there is no reason to do that, as it seems.
So we're happy for anyone of our blood to return. So of course you will be welcome. Now, how about I show you to your aunt's house?
Oh, if you have time. We don't want to keep you from tending the temple.
I have all the time in the world.
Thank you. We will just need to grab our horses.
Of course. Follow me. And she walks out, and again she has this purposeful walk, this poise, this natural beauty. And she leads you out of the temple. She waits for you to get your horses. And then she shows you to a house. And she knocks on the door. And the door is opened by a young woman, maybe 20, your age, long hair. Simple tunic. And she bows and she says, Mother Fanu, I will let the mistress know that you're here. Yes, please do. It is important that I speak with her. And the girl walks away, the young woman, and then a little later, she comes back with another woman who is very tall, and she looks a lot like your mother.
Just thinking, the painting is back home, right?
The painting is back home. You decided not to bring it. You would say she's probably Your mother would be around 50 now. This woman is younger, so she's maybe 40.
So the younger sister, definitely.
So the younger sister. But there is no mistaking the similarity.
Siobhan would see that as well, because she knows the painting of her mother, for sure. Although Siobhan, she would definitely see.
I mean, she did grow up in the castle with you, and there would have been this very prominent painting in the hall, in the mess hall where it's your father and your mother. And she says, Fano, what a pleasure to see you. And I think I can heighten this pleasure. Let me introduce you to your niece.
God, Ashley is like, where is the place to hide?
This is Jacintha's daughter.
Hello.
The woman looks at you. She looks you up and down. You look nothing like my sister.
Well, I have her height and her skin. The rest is from my father.
So where did she end up?
Up north in Alba.
And she stretches out both her hands towards you.
I will a little bit carefully stretch out just one. It's a question. Is it like a hug stretch? Or
No,
like
she's basically doing this, like
to take
she would
hands.
take your hands.
Aisling would first give just one hand and then weirdly let go of her weapon, because she's just used to have a hand on the hilt. So just be like, I'm sorry, you're coming quite in surprise and not with good news.
Well, it is a surprise. I did not know that I had a niece.
Well, it took me some time to get here, because I know not much of all of this.
Then be welcome in my home.
And this is my best friend, Siobhan.
Welcome to my home, Siobhan. And she stands to the side and she makes an invitation motion, like, you know, her arm falls out like this in an arc.
Aisling would make one step, turn around, look at Fano, and just nod and say thank you. And then we'll step inside.
Radamanthia remains at the door, and you can hear her talk quietly, but she's not trying to whisper, but you know, she doesn't talk very loudly, but you can catch kind of like, we will see each other later, blah blah, kind of like thank you.
And I would suspect we just have tied up the horses up front or something like that for the start.
And the girl is standing there again. Well, I keep calling her girl. She's only a couple of years younger, so she is a young woman. But again, you notice she looks different because she has long hair. And then Radamanthia joins you, and she looks at the young woman and she says, Brises, please prepare food and wine. We will be in the atrium. And she says, if you will follow me. And she takes you into, and you see the house is it's larger than obviously the house that you and Siobhan live in. But it's also not extremely large. So it's one story only, and there is this place that you came in. And then you can see that there's a door to each side, and then one that goes straight on, and this door that goes straight on obviously opens onto a courtyard.
Yep.
So it's the atrium, and in it there is there is a table made of stone, and then there are benches around it, and she asks you to sit down.
We will do so for sure.
So you are my daughter.
Yes. I only knew she was from this place. That's all I know from her.
Did she never speak of me? Or of her other family? Your grandparents?
Well, she never really had the chance to.
She died?
Yeah, quite some time ago.
I'm sorry to hear that.
I am sorry to tell you. I only have a painting that is back home because I did not want to put it through traveling, and the information that she's from here.
So you were brought up by your father?
Yes.
And he didn't travel with you?
He's not alive either.
I'm
Is he?
sorry to hear that.
He died.
You
I'm not
he
making
died.
that up, right?
No.
Just,
Yeah,
my
you didn't
brain
kill
is
him.
like,
You didn't kill him,
what?
but no.
That was the short. Like, no, you did. I know, I did not kill him, but he should be dead. That's what I'm
saw
just
his
looking
ghost.
through the notes. Like,
You saw his ghost, yeah.
yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that too.
Well, a lot of unfortunate events led to that. But I'm curious on where my mother came from and why on earth did she have the idea to leave. Because it was not a good choice. Well, technically for me, yes. If not, I would not be here. But for her, it was definitely not a good choice.
Well, your mother.
Seems to be a lot like me, as it seems, as far as I already heard.
Oh. So, you don't like to be told what to do? Headstrong, your own ideas.
I think
There's a
Siobhan
wall.
is nodding more than
There
Ashley,
is a
probably.
door. You will always try to go through the wall.
Probably, yes.
You sound a lot like my sister. And at that moment, the young woman comes back with food and wine, and she puts it down. And the thing is that you've noticed is that first of all, the wine tastes well. I mean, you're not really used to drinking wine anyway, but the wine it contains sap from trees, so it's got like a really interesting, well, some say terrible aroma, and it also tastes quite bitter. But they also always put in water into the wine. And they also put water out, and in that water they put vinegar, a little bit.
Interesting choice.
And so then there is food. There is dates. There is grapes. There is olives.
Mm-hmm. For sure, a little
Some
bit of bread.
cheese, some bread. Yeah. So, I'm glad to see you. I did not know what had become of my sister, and at least now I do.
Well, she found a new home up north with the clan MacDonald.
And then she died.
Yes.
Do you disclose to her how she died?
No.
Okay.
At the moment, Aisling is unsure if she wanna tell the family the drama that happened. Also, her being basically the offspring of what caused all the She would just be very like, she died early.
Mm-hmm. Well, since you're here, I mean, there are things that belong to you.
I'm not here to collect things. I'm just
Oh,
here
you would
to...
not be able to collect them. I'm talking about her house.
I'm also not for... I'm just here for, say, stories. I would like to learn a little bit about her and find out why on earth she decided not to be a priestess and come here. If I understood.
To find out about that, you would really need to go to the temple of Orthea.
We would try to do that maybe tomorrow.
Oh, it's going to take you a couple of days to get there.
Okay.
But how about you just stay here for a while? Tell me about where you are from.
I am happy to do so if you have a place and we don't want to intrude your time.
Well, you can have her house. She claps her hands and Briseis appears and she says, Briseis, send in Taiki, will you? And she bows and a couple of minutes later, a girl of maybe 14 comes in and she says, Taiki, this is my niece. I want you to go to my sister's house and I want you to open the house. You will look after them and you will look after the house. And Taiki, she basically bows and leaves.
We do not need a servant there. It's really nice if she basically opens the house, but we don't need anyone there.
Taiki will be in the house and she will look after you.
She's a young girl. Shouldn't she be with, well, her family?
She's a servant. This is her house. This is where she lives.
Then she should be here.
Now she is in your house.
We don't do it this way at home. It's really unusual for us to have a stranger run around where we live.
I see.
Back home,
So-
we just take care of our house. We cook, we clean, and we live.
So, who looks after you then? Your best friend?
She would say yes. I would say I'm looking out for her. Maybe we are looking out for each other. But everyone is just participating in a household.
You see, we don't do it like this. There is a clear stratification in our society. There is us, and we have only two duties. The men go to war, the women run the house, and they run society. And we bear children.
What do you do all day?
You've
Not-
never
not-
run a
not-
household.
A little bit. But it doesn't sound that interesting. Not to be offensive. I'm just curious to understand.
We have children that need looking after until they're 8 years old, when they're the boys, and the girls until they get married. And I can tell you, bringing up girls can be very trying. My mother would agree.
Oh, if the only goal is to get them married, I understand why it's tricky.
Well,
My father totally understood that part.
you see, let me tell you, I don't get bored easily.
So
Then there is sports. We run, we wrestle, we dance.
do priestess have to marry and you're part of the
They
country
don't.
here?
Nobody has to marry,
But if
except for the men.
Interesting. And did we understand correctly that people don't buy things here? If you need food.
Everything belongs to everybody. We share everything equally. You see this garment, and she points to her red peplos. We get one new garment once a year. We do not waste it. We do not want.
But whoever's providing food needs to get something for it in return.
The land belongs to all of us. Whoever works on the land provides for everyone else.
She would clearly see that Aisling is struggling with that idea. Because that is far away from what she knows. Because where she grew up, everything is about trading. It doesn't need to be money, it can be goods,
Yeah.
but you need to trade. You just don't share everything equally. What the hell? Even where we are living now, we are trading. So
Yeah.
it's not about earning cash, but it's really about I take something, but I give you something for it. Be it I will help you to build or to chop wood or whatever. You always trade. You have a very different way of living here.
Well, it has been like this for centuries.
It will take some time for me to wrap my hand around this, how everything works.
Yes.
So if I do anything that is against the norm, please, I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm not trying to be offensive. Just tell me if I'm doing something wrong. Please.
I will.
One more question. Does the house have a place where we can bring our horses to?
Of course, you can stable them.
Okay. And if we need food, we just go somewhere and take it?
You ask Taiki to get it for you.
There's the moment where Aisling is... I feel the Siobhan kick under the table, like... Okay.
This is really very difficult for you, isn't it?
Well, in our world, you're never dependent of a servant. Usually you don't have servant except your clan lead.
And you were the daughter of such a clan lead, might I
did
add.
not
Oh,
tell that.
Well, one could say that you have come to a different place and we do things differently, and so you need to do them differently as well. But I can see that this is difficult for you, and I want you to stay long, because I do want to get to know you. You are my flesh and blood. So I will try to make this a little bit easier for you. It will not do if you do not have a servant. However, we can share Taiki. So every so often, once a week, she comes over.
Thank you.
The rest of the time you are on your own.
That will make it easier for sure. Thank you.
So, I will show you to the house now, once you finished your food. And Taiki will do the shopping today for you. Then you can send her back.
Mm-hmm. Aisling is ready with eating. She only packed a little. She did not like munch, because that is not a good sign to do. Although honestly, back home, usually when you're invited, it's a bad sign not to eat much, I suspect. But she's like, So she tried a little bit of everything, but she did not like dig in, and
everyone knows that you are here.
We know.
So I will have to introduce you.
Yeah, is there any place we need to register or sign like in the other cities?
No. By now everyone will know who you are.
Any rules on the street that we need to be aware of, except clearly do not hit people, fight on open street or things like that, because that seems to be a rule everywhere here.
Not where you are from.
Well, a good fist fight is not unheard of. Reaching for the weapon could cause problems.
Well, if this is what you want, then there is an easy way to get it done.
I am totally fine to
We
not
have fist
fight.
fights on a regular basis. We have all kinds of competitions. I myself am a very good runner.
I do not need to fight. I'm happy for that. But is there anything else in the street? Do we need to, I don't know, bow to priestess or do not talk to slave, whatever?
No.
Any rules? Okay.
You're a Monophrastian. The only thing that you should not do is attack another one. And we do not kill outside of war. That is a sacrilege.
I don't plan to do that. The only thing I will do is defend myself if someone attacks me.
No one will attack you. You're in Monophrastos.
Is it unheard of still to wear the sword, or should I rather leave it back at home?
We don't really carry weapons outside of war because it is not necessary.
Understood.
Unless, of course, you meet a guard. They do carry weapons.
So you have guards?
Yes, those were the people who saw you. You didn't see them.
Well, we saw two boys.
That's not the guards.
No, they were in training and quite angry with themselves that we spotted them.
Oh, that was what I heard.
Well, they were quite good in hiding.
Yes, they got punished because you saw them. They, of course, reported themselves to their master.
Okay, learning to myself. Next time I see people following, do not react and talk to them.
It was good that you did. They need to know. That's how they'll learn.
But they were really good. A lot of people would never have recognized them.
Yeah, then you were better.
Well,
Imagine you had been the enemy.
They had a lot of chances to kill us before I recognized them. Well, we slept through the night without really taking watch. They could have killed us last night without. even having to try much.
They have learned something from this experience.
I hope the punishment is not too harsh on them.
They were beaten with a stick, that's how we do it. They weren't whipped.
Well, honestly, I think the beaten with the stick is probably something Aisling knows from her place as well.
Yes.
That's not so uncommon.
Your father didn't exactly spare the rod.
Well, not nice, but nothing permanent.
Well, let me take you to your house.
Thank you.
She takes you outside, you get the horses, and she takes you to a couple of houses down.
Yeah.
And it's a house, it's a little bit smaller than, well, as a priestess, she would not have had children and she would not have had a family. So the house is, of course, smaller because the big houses go to those families that have children.
Compared to our house back home,
It's
not the McDonald, but the little Siobhan
it's bigger.
Aisling home. It's bigger.
Yeah.
Oh, this is a lovely big house.
Well, the kitchen is over there.
Thank you.
Next to it is a room for the servant. She will not sleep in there. And this is the hall where you would receive guests. And over there, that is the bedroom. And it's fully furnished.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you so much. Could we visit tomorrow that we can talk a bit more about
Well,
my
I will
mother?
arrange for a little bit of a celebration. We will have to introduce you. And you will see some of the things that people outside think we are famous for.
Okay. Again, we are not here to cause extra work.
You see, you said that you didn't know what we did with our time.
True.
We like celebrating and we like competition. This gives us a reason to compete.
Then we would be happy to join.
In 2 days' time, after nightfall, on the Agora. But I will see you tomorrow.
Okay.
Taiki will come later with the food. She will put it in the kitchen and then you send it back to me.
Thank you.
Okay, so she leaves. She embraces you.
Mm-hmm. I
before
will
she
carefully embrace back, although she's not frail, but it
No,
would be a
not at
very
all.
careful.
leaves. Yeah. Oh, behind the embrace is a lot of strength. So
Yeah.
this is not, and you would say that she easily weighs 80 kilograms. I mean, she is very tall, but she is muscly.
Mm-hmm. So there, definitely Aisling sees what genes she got from her mother, because she generally is, even if she's not training, she's strongly built for a woman. So
Yeah, I mean, and you do train. I mean, hunting. I mean, you don't. I mean, she was talking about competition and she was
Yeah.
talking about fist fights. So it could be that they actually train in that. But you go hunting. You do a lot of wood chopping. You have been walking, which of course trains you as well. And so basically, and you have a lot of strength anyway in you. But
yeah, and I was trained with weapons as a younger
Yeah, and I
person
mean, this-
anyhow. And honestly,
and-
I'm quite sure Aisling was in a lot of fist fights with kids on this, where she should not have been in her stage, but she was in the midst of everything.
Yes, and I mean, there were the times
And
when
every
you got
boy
home
telling her,
and-
"You girl, you can't do that." I'm quite sure Aisling's reaction would be, "I will show you what I can do." And
Yes, and there were
yeah.
plenty of times that you got home with a black eye.
Yes.
And
Or torn
yeah.
clothes.
And dear Siobhan was trying to hush it all up from your father. And she did a lot of mending of your clothes.
Though the thing is, I think Aisling would have been quite proud if she would have shown like someone else, like, "Hey, I'm a tough one."
Yeah, Siobhan didn't really see the good in that at all. And then basically, you are now on your own in your house. What do you do?
Have a look around. So first of all, making sure that the horses are fine. Leaving a few carrots with them just to see what we need. Give them. I'm quite sure. Is there something like a well or a place where you can get fresh water? Just to give them fresh water to brush them, to clean them. I think Aisling would focus now on first of all taking care of Storm, and I guess Siobhan probably the same.
You're
with
looking
Percy.
after the horses. Yeah.
Because they must be dirty as hell with this.
They are.
We probably as well. That's something different. That would be step 2. But first of all, take care of the horses. Make sure they're fine. They're cleaned up. They have a good space. And then, I think Aisling would go inside. And first of all, have a look around. I don't think she would care as much to clean herself. But she would have a careful walk through the rooms just to sink in that this is the place that her mother had. I'm not sure if there are any really personal things still there and around, or if it's just the furniture.
There is furniture. There are in basically there are some items that don't seem to serve a purpose, like little amphoras that are standing somewhere. So maybe, like there is decorations. There's also a tapestry on the wall with a depiction of flowers. Maybe she weaved it herself. You see a loom. So obviously your mother weaved. Or wove? Is it wove? She wove. She weaved. She wove. She wove. She was a weaver. Yeah, weave, wove, woven. Yeah, she wove. And I mean, this is pretty much it. So it could be that whatever really important things she had, she may have taken with her.
That might be also she left when she was still young, so it's not that you have tons of memorabilia basically built up over life. Okay. Looking at the bedroom, are there 2 beds?
No, at the moment there's just one.
We agreed on the servant not sleeping in our house, correctly?
Yeah.
Then she will look at Siobhan. We have basically 2 bedrooms.
Siobhan goes and checks out the kitchen, and she says, yes, I suppose someone could sleep in there. Since it's very small, it'll have to be me.
I thought the servant was a separate room, not part of the kitchen.
Yeah, but it's as houses, as rooms go, it's more like a pantry kind of thing. So yes, you can sleep in there. Yes, there is a bed, but it's a straw mattress. So obviously,
so not a proper bed.
No. Maybe they didn't put the bedding in because your mother might not have had a servant. Who knows? But basically, there isn't a real bedstead.
Okay. No, then she would not even have proposed that. Well, the question is the bed in the bedroom. Is it big enough for 2 people? Okay.
Easily.
I think Aisling then would not say much. She would stroll through the house and then she would probably try to clean up a little bit. Also switching clothes, so the clothes that she has on, the travel stuff, just to get off and switch into something different.
At that moment, the door opens and in walks Taiki.
Oh, hi there.
Hello, mistress.
Aisling. And this is Siobhan.
She bows to both of you. I bought food.
Thank you for helping us.
And she puts it away in the kitchen, and she comes back and she looks at you expectantly.
Well, during the week we might need a little bit straw for our horses. I'm not sure how if you have a chance to arrange it.
Absolutely, I can do that.
That's all we need. Thank you for bringing food.
She looks at you.
So, I
Is there
don't know.
anything else that you require?
Not really. So if you need to hang out a little longer before going back, feel free to.
The concept of hanging out isn't one that she's familiar with.
And Aisling will just look at Siobhan like... The Aisling knows what servants are, clearly. She grew up with servants.
Yes, of course,
around.
you do know
But
that. And you were surrounded by them. And the last time you were at the hall, you were being waited on hand and foot because you were the Cyrus to
I
be.
know, but for Aisling, at least with the way things turn, this is like... she will never, ever have a servant again.
Siobhan basically touches you lightly on the arm. She steps a little closer to Taiki so that she stands halfway between you and her, and she says, well, first of all, thank you very much, Taiki. Radamanthia said that we should just tell you to return to her house and just come by once a week to, provide maybe some food. But I have one question. We really need a bath. How do we go about it? And Taiki smiles and she says, we have a bathhouse.
It shouldn't be too late in day, basically. We started in the morning, went through. So the question, how late is it? It would be afternoon somewhere, right?
Yeah, 3 o'clock.
Then, do you mind showing us the place?
No, of course not. It's open all day and all night.
Looking at Siobhan, probably whispering in our language, a good idea. I did not think of that.
You haven't looked at yourself.
Well, I tried to wash. Probably we have streaks somewhere.
Yeah. You're sandy. Yes. Then I will just get what you need.
And we would need maybe some soap to clean our things.
Yes, like I said.
Okay. Perfect.
I will get you what you need.
Thank you.
And she walks away and she comes back. She goes to the kitchen and she comes back with towels, with soap. She's obviously prepared. And then she says, follow me.
Aisling will have a knife at her belt. She will leave the sword back and also the bit of armor that I think she wears armor if I can remember. I have
leather armor.
Yeah. So she would leave that back and would just have basically clothing and a belt with a few utility things, but also a normal knife that you would need just to cut smaller things. It's not for... Well, you could also hurt someone, but that's not the primary use, let's say it like that. And
so you follow. And she takes you to through the township, and this is the first time now that you actually see men. And they are maybe your age, 25. They have long hair. And they also wear this red thing. They all walk barefoot. And they notice you. They look at you.
We're not trying to hide.
No. But let's see. What you do notice is that while they glance at you briefly,
Yeah, staring
they
at
both
Siobhan.
stare at Siobhan.
Well, from us two nowadays, Siobhan is the pretty one.
You keep saying that, yes.
Well, I am the pirate. I'm the cool one. Siobhan is the pretty smart one. I think that's the good distinction between us two.
And Siobhan notices too. Why?
You're pretty.
Will you give over?
You are. It's just a matter of fact.
You know that she doesn't like discussing
Yeah.
her looks.
And honestly, I don't think I have seen a woman like you, maybe ever. I look just weird because my eyes and hair.
But have you looked
wrong.
around how many women there are?
Yeah, but you are fair and slim compared to most of them here. Although the slaves are slimmer, right? Or are they also?
And one thing you notice is these slaves, or servant slaves,
Are well-fed.
are well fed.
Yeah.
Which of course means that
Healthy.
they are slim, but they look healthy. And of course,
Okay, but they're not the more massive build that like Aisling
No.
has. So okay.
no. And you would also say that they tend to be less tall.
But Siobhan is still a short version-ish, probably. And fair. That's, I think, the main difference. We both
Yeah,
have
and she
quite
has blue
pale
eyes.
skin and blue eyes.
Blue gray eyes.
Yeah.
And fragrance. And
Just ignore them.
that's difficult. They're staring.
Should I walk up to them and tell them
No,
it's...
please don't. This is embarrassing enough as it is.
Aisling will stare back at them with an eyebrow raised.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting. Let's see. Yeah. There is no intimidation, is there?
For her to do... She just more wants to irritate them than to intimidate them.
Yeah. You do make an impression because well, if you want to, you can actually look quite foreboding. I mean, you have only one eye. They can see that you've got a scar. So yeah. So you look at.
Really have nothing to intimidate someone. What
Well,
is
you have
this?
Anführen actually, which is influencing people one way or another in a way that they do what you want them to do. And if this is you want them to feel kind of intimidated, then that would work as well. And of course, you do get an advantage on all of those rolls if this is what you're trying to do because of your eye. You do look a little bit menacing.
It's a little bit. Her general idea is like, come on, boys, behave. That's more the message she wants to bring through. It's not like run off and be scared, but like
No.
Privacy, distance. It's rude. Oh God, she's not intimidating. I rolled 1.
Yeah, but you get an advantage on this roll.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a 3. That's still a miss.
They keep staring. And one of them actually walks up to you. And he walks up to Siobhan.
When he's on the way, Aisling would be like, should I step between or do you want to handle it by yourself?
Do you want to cause a scene? I mean, we were just talking about keeping a low profile. You just said, what do I need to do to not kind of like cause offense? I think
Then we just say
confronting
hello.
this young man is probably causing offense.
Okay, we'll just stand by. If he touches you,
You're gonna do what?
patch him.
You can't be serious. Don't do that.
Well, he started it then. Maybe he just wants to say hello and welcome.
I don't think that he started it will help at all. And this young man, who is easily 190 to 2 meters tall, long hair. He is on the side of long hair will make a handsome man look more beautiful and an ugly man more intimidating. He's on the handsome side.
Good.
He doesn't look intimidating at all. And he...
Aisling. Aisling is just smiling and standing next to Johan.
He bows and he completely ignores you.
Also
in spite of
rude.
your looking at him. And he says in Chrysean hello, and he informs her that his name is Farnes, and as far as he's concerned, she is the most beautiful woman to have ever walked the earth.
You will hear a chuckle from Aisling.
He looks at you and he says, "Do you disagree?"
No, I'm telling her for quite a while that she is most beautiful.
Then there is not a disagreement.
I did not laugh in disagreement.
And he looks at her and he says, "You're strangers." And Siobhan is completely out of her league, and she just looks at him, and she's blushed. She looks like a little tomato.
Aisling would just like, well, what did give off that we are not from here? I know we're a bit pale. We haven't seen much sun.
And he completely looks at Siobhan and he says, "Your eyes. Grey like the leaden sea in winter."
Aisling will wait a little bit more to see if Siobhan is doing anything. If she's kind of frozen blushing, then Aisling would step in, depending on what Siobhan is doing.
Siobhan looks at him and she says, "Many people in my homeland have grey eyes. And yes, they do look like the sea in winter." And then he says, "I will come round to your house and we can talk more." And he bows and he walks away.
Aisling will just grin and turn around and see where Taiki went and just follow
Taiki
in the
is standing
direction.
by, kind of like in the background hovering, but she didn't do anything during that exchange.
No, clearly, but then I will turn towards Taiki, just hook in with Siobhan. Thank you for waiting.
Of course, mistress. And she takes you to the bathhouse. And the bathhouse is really like a spa.
Mm-hmm.
So there are different basins with water. There is the first place where you actually go and they give you an amphora of water that you have to use to clean yourself before you go into the actual bath. And the bath is empty. It is run by 2 or 3 slaves, both men and women. So, then, yeah.
On the way, or before we have went, Aisling would have nevertheless asked a very weird question of, it's for free to use, right?
Of course.
Okay. That would be for her, like, do I need to pack coins or not? Do we tip the... No, we... Forget it. You don't
What is tipping? She knows the tip.
Well, where we are from, if a servant is doing a really good job or people working in places like a bathhouse, you give them like a coin as thank you. It would be offensive here, wouldn't it?
You always do your best. You always do a good job, as you say. This is what we do. We take pride in our work.
That's different where we are from, but good to know, good to know.
She looks at you. You can tell that she is puzzled. This is you are strange.
No, they are strange. They just don't know it.
So you basically then end up in a basin full of water. It's like a pool. You could, in theory, swim, but you can stand. Well, Siobhan finds it a little more difficult. This was obviously built for people who are a little taller. She can stand, but then the water comes to here.
But I guess there are like steps or
there are
places
benches
where you can basically sit.
Yeah. So and you can sit there. And so, what do we do when he comes round to the house? Can you not go out with him? You're much more like him.
Well, he obviously is not interested in me.
That's because he doesn't know what a great conversationalist you are. You should talk to him.
But you are the smart one of us. You are the one who knows things. You are the ones who can tell good stories. If you don't want to go out with him, if he's there, just say hi, thank you, but no thank you, not interested. And it's not your fault. You can always pull the priestess part. You're a priestess. You're not allowed to go out with men if you want to have your peace and quiet.
That would be lying. I'm just not allowed to get married. Well.
You can tell him that you're not allowed to get married, so no thank you. Then you're not lying. I can also tell him you're not there.
That would be lying if I'm there.
Well, you know I'm not afraid to lie. That's just like a useful lie.
Next time somebody says that they think I'm beautiful, you just say no.
Why should I disagree? You are beautiful, period.
Stop it.
It's, as I said, just matter of fact. Also back home, you are beautiful. And here you're also interesting because you look different.
She decides to take a swim.
Remember, we have different eyes. We pick out at least an eye color here.
She dashes you with water.
We can give you an eye patch, then you maybe look like... Oh, then we look like twins, no.
And if you gave me 2 eye patches and also gouged out your second eye, we would never look like twins. Have you looked at each other? Have you looked at me and compared me to you? We look nothing like each other.
No, as I said, you're the pretty one.
If you say it one more time, I'm going to drown you.
Sure.
You know that she is very strong.
Aisling is clearly thinking she is in strength. But she will not say it again. She will just smile and lean back.
Yeah, and the water is nice. It's warm. And so basically you can spend some time there. I mean, pretty much nobody else is joining you. But you notice that kind of like there are pictures on the... It's all tiled. And there are pictures of people taking baths. So the way it seems to go is you go from bath to bath to bath and you spend time in each of them. And basically there's also little amphorae. And they contain smelly stuff. So oils, you would presume, that smell of plants.
Okay. I think when we went in before, I'm not sure if Taiki is around or if she left.
She is. She says she will wait for you in the atrium.
Okay, but we would have asked her about if there's like special order or how it's done, just because bathhouse is not a usual thing for us.
Yeah, so basically there are different types of baths. One is warm, one is ice cold and really cold, and one is kind of like where you go swimming. It's a longer pool. And so after a while, I mean, actually Siobhan really enjoys this, so she's kind of like loath to leave, but even after a while she kind of like goes, okay.
Yeah, we're looking like
she's
wrinkled
pruning.
Something, yeah.
And you can also tell that she has blue lips. And so you leave, towel yourself off. It's been a while since you felt this clean.
It's not a bad feeling.
Yeah, and then Taiki shows up again and she says, "Oh, you need to. You have long hair. You should oil it."
What? I don't
it's
make it dirty.
Oh no. It's what the men do. And you've noticed that they had really shiny hair. You know, like, do you remember Fabio?
Yeah, and that's
They all have Fabio hair.
Yeah,
So
no.
like really well kept, well groomed hair.
Yeah. Thank you, but no, it's fine like it is.
Oh.
What an interesting idea.
Yes. The warriors take a long time grooming their hair. Easily an hour a day.
Aisling is like, what the heck? Why? Hair is not important when you fight. It's mostly in the way. We just make sure it's put up.
It's what they do.
Well, that means if there would be a war, our people would be like an hour ahead because we would not take care of our hair. I'm not planning to do war, don't worry. It's just interesting.
She looks at you and she says, "I do not believe that you are not formidable, but if you were to go to war against our warriors, I'm pretty sure you would not survive."
Where we are from, only the women take a lot of care of the hair.
Well, she basically thinks about this and she chuckles a little. She says, "The women here do not have any hair. They shave their heads."
I've seen that. Well, it's practical. Unusual where we are from, but practical.
And then, do you return home?
Yeah.
You go home. And you get to the house.
When we get home, and since we're talking about hair, she would ask Heike if there are people that are cutting hair or tending hair for the man, or are they doing that on their own?
They do this themselves. But I cut my mistress's hair.
Good to know. That would be all.
You come to the house.
Mm-hmm.
On the threshold is a bunch of flowers.
I guess that's for you, darling. They look pretty.
They do look pretty. She takes the flowers. Now I've got flowers.
Oh, they're nice to look at. We have some decoration around the house. It's not bad. If not, you can feed it to Percy and Storm.
She goes inside. She takes one of the amphorae down from one of the shelves. She puts in water. She puts in the flowers. She puts it back. She doesn't give it a second glance.
Taiki, before you leave, just a general question. Is there a specific way how women can tell men, like, we're not interested? Do you know that, if there's anything special? Or do you just tell them? If you don't have the answer, it's totally fine. I was just
Maybe
curious.
you should talk to your aunt about this.
Okay. I will do so. Thank you so much for your help. And I think we have everything we need, Siobhan, don't we?
Yes, I've got more than enough.
Then you can go back. Thank you for your help and take
She
care.
bows. And she leaves. Siobhan leans against the door.
We will close the door first of all.
Yeah, of course. Taiki closed it on the way out. Honestly?
What?
How can you be so calm about this. This is your mother's people. And instead of finding out about them, the first thing that happens to me is somebody wants to chat me up.
Why should that be weird for me?
No,
Why should that disturb me? What?
No, I mean, seriously. We just walk in here and that's the first thing that someone thinks of. I'm not used to this attention.
Well, he was a nice looking fellow, so...
We should really find out more about how this getting married thing works.
Well, you obviously are not getting married, except you want it, although you're not allowed to. As I say, if you don't want to, if he shows up or if we see him again, just tell him that you are not interested. You are married to your god. Done deal.
That's a good way of putting this.
And it's not lying, it's just the honest truth. You're not interested. Although the god is maybe not the main reason, but you are not interested. You're married to your god.
Yeah,
and you need to say that. If I say that, I don't think it will work.
But maybe you could tell him to go away. You're imposing.
I'm not.
You said you were going to tell him that I wasn't here. It would be a lot more efficient if you just said to him I wasn't interested. That wouldn't be lying.
I can say you're not interested. If he's just halfway persistent as he was, he will show up again until you say it. We can do a try. I can tell him you're not interested and he should not use his energy to follow you. If he listens to me, he's a smart boy. If not, he's a persistent, good-looking boy.
You could beat him up.
Yeah, but I would be in trouble, I think, as well. He I think, can fight quite well as well.
Great.
But I don't... Why should I fight him? As long as he's behaving and treating you well, I have no reason to fight him.
I think I'm going to go to bed now. And she leaves.
Don't forget to journal.
I don't need to keep watch, so it doesn't really matter.
Do you... Well, we should have dinner. And you need maybe a cup of tea?
Not hungry.
We'll make us dinner and tea. We don't need to talk about this anymore.
Okay, so you make dinner.
Mm-hmm.
You make tea.
Yes.
She sits down, she eats something, but she's very quiet.
I'm curious about this priestess thing my mom was planned to be, and she decided against it.
I know. If she's anything like you, why would anybody want to make her a priestess? You are not made out to be a priestess. You're not priestess material.
No. That well, and it seems like not every woman here needs to be a priestess.
Of course. I mean, in our society, not every woman gets to be a priestess. Not every man gets to be a priest either.
That's well,
you have to go through training.
Yeah, that's the main question. Who decided for her that she should be? Because I highly doubt it was her decision.
You don't know that. Maybe she thought it was for her and then decided it wasn't.
Well, we will need to
or maybe she failed. Well, although I don't think she would ever have failed. I mean, you know, when I took my vows, I had to go through all of this.
Well, if she failed, probably on purpose because she didn't want it, but it sounds more like she stormed off midway, deciding I'm done with all of this.
I'm just wondering what it is like to be the priestess of the goddess of order.
I'm also curious, how did she get to Alba when she was on her own? It's a quite dangerous trip, and a long trip, holy hell.
Well, but if she's anything like you... You would have been able to pull this off on your own. Yes, it would have taken you a long time. It might have been a lot less fun, but you would have been able to do it.
Well, and as we know, they are trained here at least to do some things.
You will have to talk to someone about this.
Well, I will ask tomorrow. My aunt might at least know a little more, and I think I would really, if you're up to it, go to the other temple and talk to...
Of course. I do. I mean, now that we're here, I want to see that place. So far, we only know 2 houses, a temple and a bathhouse. Don't get me wrong.
No, we will have a look around here first of all, and look how everything is here, and then we can visit the other place, return here, and then decide what to do.
And then don't forget, there's going to be a festival in your honor in 2 days' time to welcome you.
Yeah, maybe we should travel that date to...
I think that would be very unfriendly and very
I know.
offensive.
I
You shouldn't
know
be
that's
doing
offensive
this.
and rude. I will just hope that I can vanish quickly.
Why?
Same as you. I don't... Why on earth do they need to do a feast?
Well, I understand why. Because you are family.
But I'm not here to be celebrated, to get things. I just want to know a few things and then we will leave again.
I'm not sure if they are aware of the leaving part as strongly as you are.
This is not my home.
No, it's not yet.
Oh, believe me, this will never be home. Maybe this is a place where I can visit if I want to see family, but this place is too weird to stay.
But you've only been here less than a day. And this is what I'm telling you. If you feel at some point you do want to stay, you
Will be
You may
no
stay.
if. You don't have to worry about that. I miss home. I miss our people. I miss our land. I miss a lot of what we have home. We've been long in this country. It's nice, weird, but it's not home. I'm here for 2 reasons. Learning more about my mother. Understanding more why I am like I am. And maybe finding any kind of hint what we can do about this. I never
Yes.
went out to not return home.
I know you didn't, but things can change.
This place will never be so relaxing that I feel home here. Believe me.
At that moment, there's a knock on the door.
I'll have a look. Aisling is getting up, opening the door just a little bit. Yes?
You see Farnes outside.
Good evening.
Good evening, and what a beautiful evening it is. I would like to speak to your friend.
You know she's not interested in you, right? Just not that you have your hopes up. Just as warning.
Maybe she can tell me this herself.
I warned her that she would need to do that. Give me a second. she would just leave the door open and she would just like, Siobhan dear, there's someone who wants to speak to you.
Siobhan steps to the door.
Aisling will kind of like walk that she's a little bit out of sight, but that she can listen because she wants to listen. Or no, she would just go back and sit down and sip more of the tea. With... I'm not even sure if she would turn the back to them. I think she would peek even and just sit there and sip tea.
Okay, so you see what they're doing?
Mm-hmm.
So you notice a very tall man getting down on one knee.
Aisling
and-
is holding on to her cup and trying not to chuckle.
And he's talking, and then he's saying a couple of words, and then something weird happens, because Siobhan takes his hand and says yes, and the two of them walk away and leave, and Siobhan closes the door.
Interesting. Aisling will say quite loudly to herself. She would probably go to the door, open the door, and just look in which direction they're going.
They're going to the right.
Okay.
So basically,
Town center direction or?
no, rather outside of the town.
It still looks like she's walking with him out of her free will, right?
For all counts and purposes, yes, that's what it looks like.
I will clean up, make the dishes basically. I will have a short look and talk with Percy and Storm.
What do you tell them?
I will probably scratch Percy behind his ears, like, your mom is sometimes really weird, darling.
He agrees.
She said she didn't want to go out, and the moment he showed up, she decided, yes, sure, I'm gone. If she's not showing up in a few hours, we need to go on a search for her.
Mm-hmm.
And then she would just feed them another carrot, make sure they're comfy and cozy, and then she will go back inside, make another tea.
How are you going to spend the time? Are you going to wait up?
She will wait up. She will clean everything that needs to be cleaned. So like the saddles, she would probably bring the saddles in, and oh no, she would. It's dark outside by now, probably. She would bring the saddles in. She would clean the saddle. She would clean her armor, just that the dust is out there with a brush, and would also have a look at her weapons. And she would take her time.
Okay, time passes. Hours go by. No sign of Siobhan. What do you do?
She would basically get her shoes on, and she would step outside. And she would grab Storm. And walk with him. As weird it would look, but she would just like...
Okay, so you put a halter on him and you lead him.
Yeah, just having a walk obviously in the direction that Siobhan and Fannis went, and she would just walk in that direction and keep eyes open.
Okay, you keep walking. There are houses there, but it's not the town center. After a while, you see 3 houses up. A house in front of which you can see a bundle lying on the threshold.
A bundle?
It's dark and there's a darker
Yeah.
shape lying outside.
Size. Bundle can be anything from piece of cake to...
No,
human.
it's a lot long. It would be a very long cake. So maybe 1.5 meters long.
In front of a house. Oh, she would carefully walk closer.
As you approach, it becomes a little more distinct and you see it's someone lying there, and they have put a cloak around them so as to shield themselves from the cold.
She would step closer again.
Now you notice it's a red cloak, like the peplos that the people here are wearing.
The main question is it really just one person?
It looks like one person that's huddled up, but if this is one person huddled up, then it's a long person when they are stretched out.
I think Ashlyn would call out, "Are you okay there?"
The person wakes up and pulls back the cloak, and you see it's Farnes.
Just to peek again if he's really alone.
He is, and he looks like he's been crying.
Not to be rude. What is going on?
What do you mean, what is going on?
I am out here worried that you kidnapped my friend.
Kidnapped your friend?
Yes.
No, she's inside.
So what is going on? She would just tie. Or no, honestly, Storm is well behaved. She would just wait. And she would just drop the lead to the floor, give him a little scratch, and she will walk over to Farnes. Is there someone in there that you care about that needs healing?
No, she's in there alone. She said she denied me. So, of course, she's in there alone. I'm keeping watch.
What on... What? Why is she in there? Why is she not home?
She said she didn't want to go home just yet. I believe she was embarrassed. You can go inside, and he opens the door.
I will just probably more call inside. Siobhan?
Question is, does she hear you? Yeah, she heard you, and she says, "Ashlyn, what are you doing here?"
Well, the question, why are you doing here? And why is he sleeping outside crying?
Shh. Alright, so basically he wanted to go for a walk, which was fine.
You said, yeah.
He obviously thinks that I love him, which I don't. So I said
tell
no.
him?
I did. But I didn't want to come back because that would have been awkward, so I just stayed here and he sleeps outside. That was the agreement.
That is not more awkward than coming just back home?
I didn't know how to tell him, so I said no. But he really didn't take it very well. He started crying. What am I supposed to do?
You take Storm, go back.
What are you doing?
I will talk to him and follow you. You can also wait. This is stupid. You staying here, and he's sleeping on front of his own doorstep in the cold, crying, and I'm back home worried sick that he did something to you.
What could he possibly have done? She gets up. She's dressed. She's fully dressed. She goes outside. She takes Storm and she walks away.
I will help Phanes up. I am sorry this went like it went. It was a... You have your house back again. I'm sorry she held your house captive.
Oh no, it was I just do not think that I can meet her expectations. It is very hard to hear that, but of course I accept.
Well, you're not her god. That's the only one who can meet their expectations. She's a priestess. She's not interested in men or anything like that. She's married to her god. That's the only focus she has. She has clearly friends. she cares about and community she cares about. But she's not involved in romance. Because everything
That is a loss for
going to-
everyone.
Well, not to a god. Aren't your priestesses also not marrying and following?
Well, I've never tried to marry a priestess.
Well, she is a priestess.
I did not know.
Didn't she say... Aisling is like, that was the one thing we agreed on. She would tell you that she's a priestess. And that would give you maybe some understanding why she is not interested. It's not you. She's generally not interested. You are good looking. And you will make a woman very happy out there.
Well, it doesn't really work like that. He's not taking this in. You can see that there is somebody who's really heartbroken.
I am so sorry.
You do not need to be sorry. You just take care of her. She's like a flower. Let not anyone crush her.
Well, she can take care of herself. She doesn't need me. She's usually there to help me when I get crushed, but
He looks you up and down.
literally.
Oh yes,
crushed.
your eye.
Yeah, for example. As I said, it's not you. It's generally just not her thing. And I'm sorry she did not tell that. She was quite worried to hurt you, and I think she managed that quite well, without intending to do so. She didn't want to be offensive.
You do know what they say about flowers. Some beautiful flowers have very sharp thorns.
Yeah, and then they bloom and they die. I'm not sure that flower is the right description for her.
Anyway, she's now where she needs to be, and I can be here. But one of these days, I think you and I should we should go hunting or something.
I'm open for that. Please take care of yourself, and please never do that again. You don't have to sleep outside.
What do you expect me to do?
Bring the girl back home.
That was difficult.
Well, now that I say that and you say that, yes, she is difficult. Sometimes. She would just clap him on the shoulder. Good night. Go inside and warm up.
He goes inside. He closes the door.
And she's just like... and she will return to the house fully expecting that Siobhan at least either is sleeping or is behaving as if she is sleeping.
Okay, you come inside, and she is actually doing neither of these things. She is sitting at the table, and she has buried her face in her hands.
Stepping inside just to shortly listen in. Is she crying?
No, she's not.
Okay,
she's just no.
You should have just told him that you're a priestess. What was so difficult in saying, I'm a priestess, I belong to my god? He did not know. He would have easily understood to step back when you have told that.
Yes, I didn't.
You're the smart one of us. You're the social capable of us. I'm the one rummaging like, I don't know, a bear through a store.
With honey. I don't know, it was just...
Why did you go with him anyhow? You said you didn't. It was just like, yes, and you were gone. And I was like, what is happening? Did he do magic?
No, he just told me that he was going to walk with me by the seashore, and we did. It is really beautiful there.
Good.
The moon was out.
Next time just tell people that you're a priestess. You're not ashamed of that. And they understand here, the people, the priestesses are also
It just
married.
makes many things very difficult.
Why? You're not a priestess of a god he cares about.
Exactly.
Why is that difficult? That should make it easier.
No, I'm honestly not sure how to explain to people because their gods seem to be very different. I mean, they've got a goddess of war weaving and warfare and wisdom. I haven't seen anyone who's a healer yet.
But there are other gods in this country as well. They know that.
Here we have seen order. And this one here.
That is then something maybe to talk about tomorrow to my aunt as well.
You see, I am so different from everyone here. I'm not warlike.
Yeah, thank goodness.
This is a society of warriors. I have no idea where I stand.
You are a guest just like I am, and we will just get the information, see how it is, and leave again. We're not staying here. Again, I did not come here to find a new family. I have a family, and I have a home that is back in Alba. This is just a travel to find out more information. And we will leave as soon as you like. It's our trip, not mine. Let's
How
see
is he?
He's fine. He's heartbroken, but he's fine. He will get over it. Honestly, back at home, not a single man would have slept outside in front of the door. They are weird here.
Do you know what he told me?
What?
Here, every woman is a queen, and everyone who is older is a king.
That's an interesting way
They will
of
never
saying
sit
that.
down in front of people who are older than them.
That's weird, but okay.
Apparently, people do not get very old here. And I don't know why she's speaking Crusade all of a sudden to you. He told me that most people die when they're about 40 or so. They either fall in war or they die in childbirth. No one really gets old here. He said that there is a group of people, of men, they call it Gerusia, and it's everyone who's over 60. But it's like only 5 people.
What a weird place. The old ones are the ones that give the knowledge and tell the stories you need to hear.
Yeah, but I think it really happens that people simply don't get old, at least the men.
Well,
And
if they...
would you believe it? He's been on 2 campaigns already. He's 23.
If they don't have good healers, well, it's obvious why they die early. We would be lost without people like you. Even the ones that are not linked to God, but at least can do the basic stuff like cleaning wounds and bandaging them and knew a few of the herbs that help.
I just need to be very open with you about this. I'm not staying.
As I said, I can only repeat again, I'm not staying either. This place is too weird. I'm even feeling, well, honestly, I have mixed feelings about being here. It's weird that we have a house, because it feels like they're giving us a home, which I totally not like, the idea. But it's quite nice that we have our own space here, and we can just be us here. That's why I did not really object to it. Also, I think it would be extremely rude to say no to that.
Also, they don't have inns. It seems like they don't get visitors, or if they do get visitors, they put them up in their own homes.
Well, honestly, I think the only crazy people visiting here are people that maybe want to become a warrior and learn from the best. Maybe a few crazy traders, they stay overnight, probably camp outside and leave the next day when they sold their goods and get whatever they wanted. And that's it.
Mm-hmm.
I see a lot of reasons why my mother did not stay, to be honest. I'm still curious what's really behind that.
But she wouldn't have known, would she? I mean, in terms of she wouldn't have known anything different. This would have been what she would have been used to.
But we don't know if there were people here that told her maybe other. We will see. We will see. My idea again is to get the information that we need. I'm clearly curious a little bit more to learn about what is happening here. It never hurts to learn. And we will also learn a little bit about the gods here, because it will just be interesting to see how they handle it. And we can ask about healers explicitly. I'm curious. Because honestly, if you have warfare, you need a good healer group. If not, that's insanity. Because people are just like, I don't know. In German we say Kanonenfutter. So it's we'll just ask. We will stay here at least for 2 more days, because as you pointed quite correctly, not going to the party will be very rude.
He's told me a little bit about it. It's all around the village already. There's going to be singing, there's going to be dancing, and then you can watch the young women and men compete.
We will just enjoy it as best as we can and try to be as quiet as we can.
Oh, you will be required to dance. But he said, I can dance in your stead if you don't want to.
Well, I'm not dancing. I will compete if they want, but I'm not dancing.
Then I will dance.
I will ask my aunt tomorrow what it means explicitly, and what do we really need to do and what we don't need to do. I will point out
let's
again.
Go to bed.
And maybe the day after we can take the horses and ride to the other temple.
Mm-hmm. And talk to the head priestess there to find out more about your mother that she spent 10 years with. It's going to be interesting. I'm going to find it so interesting to see how much like your mother you are.
Well, a lot as it seems. And then we return, and then we see if we have any reason to stay or if we move on. I would clearly like to talk to Fano at least one more time.
Of course, she said you could come by any time.
I'm still unsure on who to talk about this without causing big troubles.
I think we may have to accept that whoever looks at this may consider it trouble. If they recognize it, we don't even know what it means. It is from Alba. We don't know if they will notice what, or know, or have ever seen it here.
Tomorrow morning, I think it would be good if you could draw it on a piece of paper. I think it's much easier to show the sign if they know the sign. We can blankly say we have no idea what it means. But we found it with things and we are not sure if it's linked to anything. And let's see how they react.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe.
So, you go to bed?
Yep.
You wake up. But you wake up and somebody's already making breakfast. And no, it's not Taiki. Siobhan has gotten up and she's preparing breakfast. And as you step outside, you see that on the table lies a piece of parchment with the sign drawn on it.
So she doesn't even have to look at it. She knows how it looks. Good.
Well, I think she's seen it many times.
Yeah, that's true.
And
although Aisling is covering it up quite regularly, so her clothes would be like, at least that her neck is really covered. She would make sure it's not really shown.
No, not on the outside. I mean, it is between your shoulder blades.
Yeah. So,
but you were in the bath for several hours,
no,
and
honestly.
she has seen you
Yeah.
without clothes many times. So
Yeah.
basically, she says, "Well, do you want to go to your aunt?"
She would have agreed with her aunt on a time. At least Aisling would have asked, would it be for breakfast, lunch,
and basically
after
how
tea
they do
time?
it is they get up with the sun and they go to bed with the sun. So as of sun time, you can come by whenever, because she is a woman of leisure. She doesn't have to be anywhere at any time. She can do whatever she wants. She is a mistress of her own.
Yeah, then let's visit after breakfast my aunt, and maybe in the afternoon we can have a stroll through town and have a look if you want.
You go to your aunt.
Hmm.
Taiki opens the door. She lets you in.
Good morning.
Good morning. Radamanthia shows up. She greets you. She embraces you. And she leads you into the atrium. So, the festival is tomorrow at sundown in the Agora.
Could you explain a little bit what is behind a festival, how you celebrate? And do we need to wear, I don't know, extra nice clothing or do anything when we are at the festival?
Well, I mean, you could actually, if you wanted to, wear our local garment.
Not to offend you, I will wear my clan's clothing.
Well, in that case, you don't need to wear anything special if this is your choice.
Okay.
But you're supposed to enjoy it. I see you're not.
Well, I don't know what will be happening. We don't have a thing like that.
Oh, it's nothing will be happening. There will be food, there will be drink, but I will welcome you to the family, and I will announce who you are and declare you my own, so that everybody knows that you are not a stranger.
Okay.
You are family after all. You are my sister's daughter.
Then we will just be curious what happens.
Oh, the children will compete. There will be running, there will be jumping, and they will be fighting. There will be wrestling. And then there will be choral dancing and choral singing by the warriors and the maidens.
Dancing and singing. Okay. I will be interested to see that.
It is famous throughout Grisea.
As I said, I'm curious to see that happen.
You do not sound curious.
I heard the little word of I have to dance as well.
Well, I will be dancing. And
Um,
everyone else will be joining in, so you don't have to, but I would be happy. But my feeling is that maybe you don't like dancing.
I'm a warrior. I'm not dancing.
All of our warriors dance. It is part
Our
of...
warriors don't dance. They drink
is-
and they fight.
Number one, that isn't strictly correct. There
I
is
know.
one dance. But, well, it is part of the upbringing of every warrior in this land. We believe it hones their skill. You will see tomorrow what I mean.
I just wanna... I will not dance, but it's not that I'm offended or wanna offend anyone. It's just not how we do it. I'm,
And
as I
then she
said,
looks
not
at
a
Siobhan.
dancer.
But what about you? And Siobhan is kind of like sitting there a little bit hibble. I think I would love to dance. Well
She's
then,
good. She's a good dancer.
maybe some practicing tonight, if you're free.
We have nothing planned.
Well, do you want to join or do you just want to watch?
I just want to watch.
All right. Siobhan looks at you, but she doesn't stare daggers. She's just like, well, she's up for this. Do you show her the sign?
No.
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 So
that-
not
that-
even the piece of paper.
No, that will be only for
Fano.
for Fano and the other temple. No. She doesn't want to open that bucket.
Okay,
with
she
her
doesn't.
aunt.
Okay, so
No. I think
yeah.
we would ask a little bit about gods that they have here. Just to be curious, is there only Athena and then the order god?
She's a goddess, and her name is Artemis Orthea.
Do you have more gods, like a pantheon?
Oh, there are many gods, but we do not really care about many of them. We care about these two. They represent what we feel we are. We are warlike, and we like order.
You don't have god of life and healing. And growth.
That would be Apollon, but we do not... I mean, obviously, the gods exist, but if you mean temple, we only have these two.
You don't have healers, even though you're going
Of course we have healers.
But they're not believing in a god?
Of course, I also believe that Apollo exists. I know he does. I don't need to see him, or I don't need a temple to know that he is there. But you asked about the gods. I mean, we have many. We have Zeus, who is the lord of the sky. He's got her brother, Poseidon. He rules the earth, quakes, and he rules the sea. He's also a god of horses. They've got another brother. His name is Hades. He commands the underworld, where people go when they die. Then there is Demeter. She looks after the crops. We have Hera. She's the goddess of the hearth and marriage, childbirth. And Apollo, well, he's Artemis' sister, brother.
Mm.
And then we have minor gods. There's also another god that is associated with war, but more with the bloody side. Death and destruction. His name is Ares. But to my knowledge, there isn't a single sanctuary to him dedicated anywhere. He's the blood and the guts. He's war unleashed. Whereas Athena, she looks after... She's the one who makes sure that you win. She's a strategist. And a tactician. Ares is none of this.
So he's the hot-blooded, just diving in.
Yes, he is the one that governs the... Well, he's the one that takes possession of those that cannot control themselves. We can control ourselves always.
She will look to Siobhan, also just to be like a little bit of smile. See, there are more than just the two of them.
You look pensive.
No, I'm just thoughtful and trying to remember the names and just go through and see who's there. It's quite interesting that we have parallels, we just name them completely differently, clearly.
Yes, but the rest of Phrygia has abandoned them. They are now worshipping the Nea Dea. Whatever good it may do them.
Well, you need just to find the right god to believe in. Or live without, which is honestly not that difficult.
Our gods were the
Ashling
ones...
will be just smiling and knowing that Siobhan is like...
Yeah. No one can live without the gods. The gods rule everything. They are everywhere.
Well, they mingle with our affairs, although we do not want them to.
The gods mingle with your affairs?
From time to time.
Then you're lucky. I've never met a god.
I have never met a god, but I don't like the mingling of the affairs. I'm not lucky. I would call me unlucky in this case.
You would? Well, I know many people, and that includes me. I would love to see the Mistress Orthea. I have questions.
I have a lot of questions, but they're not answering them.
Yeah, because you haven't seen any of them yet. Maybe you should pray.
Yes, definitely laughing on Siobhan on
Yes.
this. That's her thing, not mine.
Have you ever seen a god? And then Siobhan says, no, but I know that she's there. I feel her every day. And then your aunt looks at you and says, well, maybe you should take a leaf out of her book.
That ship sailed a long time ago.
So what are your plans for today?
Have a stroll through the... I don't know if I want to call it town or village or settlement, however they call it. Through Monofrastos, just to have a look around. And maybe...
Well, would you like to see something very special?
Yes, sure.
We have two things that are very special. One is we have a beautiful waterfall outside Mizor. Maybe it's a little bit too late if you want to return tonight for the dancing, but you should go there one of these days. It is beautiful. But close by we have something that is hard to describe, but I like going there. It is really very interesting and beautiful to behold. Epelaio Primastos, you would call it the prison cave. It is a cave.
Prism, right? Not prison.
Prism. No, prism.
my first was like
no.
a prison
That's
cave.
great.
It's beautiful.
That's super beautiful to behold.
What?
It's you would call it prism cave. It's it contains stones.
Crystals.
Yes, crystals. And when the sunlight falls on them, so you should not go there at night because then there is nothing to see. It explodes in millions of shards of light. You should really see that.
That sounds like a nice place. We will definitely do that. And just checking my list. What else I wanted to ask, dear aunt? Before we leave, I would just really be curious to hear a bit about my mother. Who decided?
What would you like to know?
Who decided that she should go the route of a priestess? If she's just half the person I am, that's a quite off idea.
You see, everyone has a role. Because there's a natural order to things. But the role that everyone takes is determined at birth. Each child is given to the Air Force, and they look at the child and they make a decision if the child will live or die.
Who are those people making
They
the
are
decision?
elected from the populace.
And you just do eeny, meeny, miny, moo. You are priestess in the future, and you're...
No, they have a vision for everyone. But for the men, it is usually they will become warriors. But for the women, there is more. Priestess, mother.
And there's no way to get out of that, even if it clearly shows they had the wrong vision.
The gods are never wrong.
Well, they were.
I do not think they were. I think your mother would have been a great priestess. I, to this day, don't know what happened. Because she was she was a true believer. And you know, she was there for 10 years and she came back every so often and she spoke to me of her goddess and she loved her. But then something happened. I still don't know what.
And she just decided to leave.
She did not just decide to leave. There was a huge dispute between her and our parents. My father did not really take kindly to this, and my mother was not very happy either. There was a lot of fighting.
So my mother had a choice to either go back or leave.
No one has ever left. So that was a surprise to everybody.
Well, it's always an option if you cannot stay.
You see, following our life isn't meant to be easy. It is meant to be a constant struggle.
Well, life is always a struggle, no
And
matter what you do.
this means that you also have to do things that you may not like.
But you don't have to bear it for your whole life. You can change situations to make it at least easier in some ways. It will come in other ways back at you, but you can have
She
a good
was
life
very
for some
radical.
time.
She just left. I was heartbroken.
Well,
She never came back. She didn't send word. For all I knew, she was dead. We all thought so.
well, she made it to Alba, fell in love.
That is good to hear.
And in the end had me.
That is also good. Do you tell her about your brother?
I would, if I would have any idea that... What?
Yeah, you had a younger brother, but she also killed him because she thought that this whole curse pertained to the person who would take the mantle, and in your society it would always be the male heir unless there weren't any boys.
Me as player completely ignored that part of the story, so no, I will not tell. Well, she left too early.
How did she die?
I honestly am not sure. I can't remember.
You were young.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Well, I know that the people loved her around, so
I'm pretty sure she must have loved you.
I think so. Well, I definitely need to talk to the priestess of the temple where my mother was for a long time if I want to have any kind of answers, if she's willing to give it to me.
Oh, she will.
Well, if not, it will...
It is your right. And it
Well-
is just orderly that you know about your family.
But it's also her right to not speak about it if it hurts.
If it were to hurt you, she would tell you because you need to know. And if it were to hurt her, she would tell you regardless.
There's nothing that could hurt me.
Are you so sure?
I've been through too much for that.
Never underestimate the possibility of loss.
The thing is, whatever happened here was long before I was even there.
I see what you mean. Nothing that would happen here, what you could learn here, would hurt you. I see
Because
what you
it was never a decision against me, or because she did not care about it, because I was not even in vision.
mean. What you need to know is, yes, our parents were very unhappy, and yes, there was a lot of fighting, but they never stopped loving her.
I'm sorry that she never really sent a message, at least to you. But it's also maybe not that easy to get a message from Alba down here.
No, it is not easy. But I mean, now you're here. That is more than a message.
Well, I'm glad at least to have visited this place and learn a little bit more about where my mother came from.
Is there anything else you would like to know? She was a very good singer. Maybe you inherited that. Siobhan laughs out loudly.
No, I'm definitely following more the footsteps of my father there, as it seems.
What was he like? He must have been very special that she would marry him. My sister would not have gone just to anyone.
Well,
And
special.
trust me, she could have had them all.
Special is the right word.
How do you mean?
He was a difficult man. He was a clan lead.
Oh, of course.
Probably not the best choice to marry, but, well, I would not be here if she would have decided differently.
Was there a lot of fighting between them?
Kind of, yes.
Well, I do not know what really happened. I can also tell you, your mother was not exactly an easy person to get along with sometimes.
Well, that I definitely got from her, as everyone is telling me.
Is that so? And she looked at Siobhan, and Siobhan just bites her lip and then she nods.
I've never fit the picture. I've always done differently. In our
So
world, women are not warriors. I became warrior.
But if your father was a clan lead, then you are a clan lead now?
No, I stepped down. I had to.
You stepped down.
The clan
Is that
now
what your mother
led-
would have wanted?
Oh yes. Definitely. It was absolutely in what she wanted. Now the clan is led by the rightful people.
I have got something for you. After you came yesterday, I looked through some of the things that she left behind, and I thought you might want to have this. And she hands you a little it's a little embroidered piece of woven cloth.
Mm-hmm.
And it has her initials on it.
Well, thank you. Did she make it herself?
Oh yes, she was a very good weaver. But of course, you must have inherited that skill from her. She was very good with her hands.
I'm good at fighting. Delicate work like that is not for me.
So you do not dance, you do not sing, you don't weave. You are very different from your mother.
I can fish, I can hunt, I can build you a house if you want.
I don't think she could do any of these things. Well, I suppose if she had put her mind to it. I always thought that anything she put her mind to, she would be able to do. But then again, I was her younger sister and I adored her.
But that is what I inherited from her. If I really want to do something, I just do it. Maybe not well, but I do it.
So, you're here. I'm glad. I'm also going to introduce you to your two cousins. I've got two sons.
Oh, that will be nice. What are their names?
Their names are Telemachos and Astyanax.
Why am I asking?
One of them is already a warrior. He lives in the mess hall, but Astyanax is in the Agoge. He will come by tomorrow, and I will introduce you at the festival.
I'll be happy to meet them.
I'm pretty sure that they will be happy to meet you as well. They always wanted a sister.
Well,
It wasn't meant to be. After Sarpedon died in battle, I never remarried.
In what battle did he die? Do you have battles regularly? I thought everyone basically leaves the place here alone. After clearly the big war in Talassus.
Well, we sometimes go out. I mean, sometimes Kroisos gets delusions of grandeur, shall we say. He died 10 years ago. Astyanax is 11.
Okay.
It was a long time ago.
I'm sorry to hear that you lost your husband. Although
It
losing
happens.
in battle is at least an honorable way.
Oh, he came back on his shield. We have a saying, with it or on it.
That's quite a good summary. I need to keep that in mind.
Yes, if they don't have their shield, it means they ran from the enemy. Then they can only kill themselves. It's against the order. You win or you die.
That is something I understand.
But he may have died honorably, but we have thousands of men here that are much more honorable than my husband.
Was your husband not honorable?
He was one of many. Neither better nor worse.
Why are you then saying that there are others that are more honorable? Shouldn't they all be the same?
You see, it's interesting that you should say that. It is something that we say. If you congratulate somebody on the success, they will tell you that there are thousands more in this land that would be much more successful if they had competed against you. But you won because they weren't here. Maybe it's our way of being modest.
She would look over to Siobhan. Are you sure you're not from here?
Siobhan looks at you. I am positive I am not from here.
You are quite good in this way of saying as well. Not about war.
Siobhan becomes red as a beet.
Never mind. I'm looking forward to meet them.
Yes. And by the way, I hear Farnes has taken an interest in your friend.
Not anymore.
Oh. Is she spoken for?
To her god, yes. She's a priestess.
Oh, your priestesses don't marry?
No. Do you priestesses marry? No, they don't, do they?
If they want to.
Ah, so they're allowed to.
Well, I mean, no one would be allowed to forbid anything of our women. You try.
That would be nice to have back home.
Well, you see, our men are usually away in battle, or they live in the mess halls. It is just us and the children who would be there to command us.
Well, our men are battling, but at the same time still the head of everything. So usually the men at least think they are in command of everything. Let's put it rather that way.
Well, let's put it this way. We do have 2 kings.
Still, your men seem to be a little bit smarter than ours. Because your men realize that you run everything. Ours don't.
Well, we bring up our sons to treat every woman as a queen.
We heard that. That's a nice way of thinking.
We deserve no less. We're the only ones that give birth to real men.
Well, here the men are usually grown. The fathers take care of the sons. So they learn what the father thinks.
Well, our children are with us until they are 8, if they are boys. Then they go into the agoge, where they are brought up until they are 20. Then they become men. The girls stay with us until they marry.
So we have a few things in common, and a few things where I say you are definitely, as I said, smarter than our people are sometimes.
She smiles. I would say that we're definitely smarter than everyone else in Chrysaea. We believe in the old ways, order and war. But now you should run along. Come back by nightfall so that I will teach you a couple of dance steps so that your friend here will be shining tomorrow.
We will do so. Thank you so much. Then let's look at the prisms.
You go, she explains to you where you need to go, and we will leave it at that. And next time you will see a prism cave. A prism cave. Now I've said
Prison,
it too.
prison.
A prism.
I want to see a nice prison with sparkly prisoners.
Something tells you that they probably don't take prisoners in this country. They will probably just kill them. So we thank you all for listening.
Yes.
For those of you who are listening to the podcast, happy holidays, happy New Year.
Happy holidays, New Year.
And we will continue our story in Chrysaea in the new year, in January. And until then, all the best. Keep safe. Bye.
Bye.
O hi hi mina morviena, o hi hi mina korviena, o hi hi mina karachen, hi mina skaren fojo, hi mi gondalan taches an trukuk mi, kerer oram feilches a chan en a hukas mi, jev mi an eigus gran rukim, nach recht ging tunich en or. O hi hi mina morviena, o hi hi mina korviena, o hi hi mina karachen, hi mina skaren fuicho.